Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together. The Plus Sides Podcast, because every story deserves to be heard, every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. A safe place. We're about to go, Weight Watchers. People in the chat. People in the room.
Everybody get ready.
Safe place.
Weight Watchers.
Brave.
They did cut some stuff.
Oh boy, I can't wait to hear.
Spill the tea, Lee. Spill the tea.
You gonna spill the tea, JT?
Spill
You gonna take a break?
Piping
Lee's
hot.
in charge of the tea in this episode.
No,
Look, spill it.
Yeah.
no, I want to see.
I
the
wanna
clip.
say
I
one
want
thing.
to see the
The clip
clip on it.
first.
I want to say one thing before I go on about JT. So, what she was just saying. So, when we had Dr. Albert on the finale of the show, right? Obesity expert, right? I think we all know, right? It's not just in TikTok. He's very well known and respected in his field, speaks all the things. So, he was specifically talking about if we considered, because the fact that she has type 2, he was like, it's organ failure.
Mm-hmm.
It's organ failure. That's what's actually happening to her. Okay. So she needs medicine because her organ is failing. And all of us that are on that insulin resistant spectrum,
We're on that
our
train.
organs are failing. We are headed in that direction. And that term, even though that's exactly what it is, people aren't using that. And so they're not taking it as a priority to address it before it gets there. Right. And I think that's just something we need a clip about that, Lydia. I think was just something we have to really consider. Like that's some language we may need to start changing, and no one's going to change it but us. So just, but it's a fact. I mean, and we see JT go through a lot,
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't want that. And we don't want it for her either. So let's
don't want it.
Help more people.
No, you don't want it.
Don't
My
want it.
Oh, sorry.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
My
totally.
try not to cry, but
Oh,
I
dear God.
was I mean, my dad has type 2 diabetes, and for you to see your father look at another person, another human being who happens to be a doctor, and tell them that it's okay for you to chop half my leg off.
Yeah.
And sign the papers that your dad is letting someone cut their leg off because of this disease. And it's like, and I can avoid that,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to. And there's a medicine now that immediately reversed the A1C, which is about to go into diabetic territory.
Yeah.
And anytime someone is like, you should just try something else first. I was like,
Yeah.
I was out of time, and there's something
Yeah.
there's something here that can help me avoid that,
Yeah.
because type 2 diabetes, this was my point. Type 2 diabetes is, you don't want to fuck with it,
No,
Sorry.
you don't.
Yeah.
No,
I think they should just run out in traffic before they try me with that bullshit.
Well, and this is what I always say to those people that are like, that come into lives and they're like, well, you're taking this and you're not even a diabetic. And I'm like, you're right. I don't want to be. I have friends, I have family that are type 2 diabetics. I don't want to be there. I was
dad's
on
a
the
diabetic.
way.
It's horrible.
I don't want to arrive at that destination. Not a chance in hell do I want to be there.
And like people like JT, like our diabetic friends in the community, they don't want that for us either. you know?
Mhm.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to share that because she was vulnerable and I just want to make sure everybody knew. So.
Yeah.
Aw.
Okay. Ready? Safe space. Got it?
Okay, brace.
Understanding if they're one of those people living in a larger body who has been struggling with the genetic, biological, environmental underpinnings of obesity. And so we're now able to do that. We're able to provide a broader solution set. And that's important to address the stigma because, as you mentioned with alcoholism, heart health is a great example, right? If you are suffering from high cholesterol or hypertension, you still have to have lifestyle intervention, right? You should quit smoking, you should eat better, you should move more. But for some, you need a statin medication, right? You need an ACE inhibitor. That doesn't mean you don't also do lifestyle intervention, but it's an and. And so we want to be clear about that and be the first to say where we got it wrong and where we can do better so that the people who need access to need to go out and ask for help, especially when they've been stigmatized even by doctors in cases, blamed and shamed, that they can look to solutions, and we want to be part of that solution.
And also,
I was like looking at Oprah's face.
Is that grumbling noise coming?
Like,
I think I heard a
this is
grumbling
Oprah's
noise
face.
from Kim over
Oprah's
there.
like, you know?
That
Oh
cut
my
me.
gosh.
That,
Mhm.
that was
So one of the other things that she talked about earlier on in the episode was that she feels, because like she's only been the CEO for a year, right? This
Yeah.
lady she didn't start Weight Watchers. She hasn't even been around 5-10 years. She's been here a year.
Yeah.
Right. And so she's like coming in and she said at the very beginning of the episode, we didn't clip this one. She said, we introduced a stigma. We were trying to help people and really we introduced a stigma. And so now we see this is a spectrum. There is a wide range of people that are obese or overweight, and it's for a variety of different reasons. It is not just
the blue
because
points and the red
yes,
points. Like
yes. And that's the blue points and the red points
That's
is what we're
coming
going to
up.
talk about next. That's the next
I heard
clip,
Oprah, like when she
coming
said that, I was hearing Oprah saying in the back of her mind, the red points and the blue
Well,
points.
because how she
Yes.
said it. Oprah's like,
I love it.
You take
She was
the
about to
blue
say it.
points and you take, why don't we go ahead and run that
She
one?
was
And
about
then
to
we'll
talk
talk
about
about it.
Let's run it.
Yeah.
the blue points and the green points and the red point, and that, you know, and as we know, as a member of the board, the blue points and the green points and all those points, if you are not meticulous with the points, you end up putting the weight back on. So now, where is Weight Watchers in this conversation?
Well, I'll start by saying, you know, I joined as CEO last year, but my history with Weight Watchers began in 2013 as a member. I gained 60 pounds after having my first child. And even though I know how to live healthy habits, my mom, who's here, has her PhD in food science. She's a registered dietitian. So I know how to live healthy habits, and I struggled. And Weight Watchers helped me because I'm not an adipose carrier, right? And so we introduced this category almost 60 years ago, but unknowingly, we introduced the shame also for people who diet and exercise alone was not enough. And Dr. Maya Angelou said, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. We know better now. So we need to be the first to approach this with authenticity and say, weight is a spectrum. And Weight Watchers, as the number one doctor recommended program, it worked for some, like me, but not all. And for those people, we don't want them to internalize that as a moral failing. Obesity is not a moral failing. It's a chronic relapsing condition.
So,
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
that.
Why don't we let
I have
Brandi
so
give the
many
props?
like crashes of emotion and trauma in that
Right.
clip. Yeah,
Mhm.
you go first, JT. What you got? Go
All I
ahead.
have to say is from someone who used to be on Weight Watchers, but like when I was maybe about 10, 15 years ago, because someone said that it would work. At that point, I was starting to put on some pounds and I just didn't find it sustainable. I actually had an interview with Bloomberg in this past spring, and they wanted to know my experience with Weight Watchers. And I just told them it wasn't extensive, but what all I wanted to say is this, is if you were watching those clips, whenever the CEO of Weight Watchers spoke, it felt so awkward to me. She almost seemed like she was the odd man out. Did you see?
Well, she
like,
was.
the
She was the only one that
body
wasn't like a medical
that-
professional.
Did
She
you
was.
see that? Yeah. Did you see that expression
I mean,
that Oprah was giving her when she was talking about? Wasn't she a
Oprah,
doctor?
Dr. Fatima was just kind of like this. And I saw her trying to make amends, but at the same token,
She's
I
got
don't
a tough
trust
job.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
I accepted
Yeah.
her apology.
You
So
did,
did I.
Brandi?
She has a
So
tough
did
job.
I.
You did, Brandi. Tell us
got a
more,
hard job.
Brandi.
She
Tell us more.
didn't do it. She didn't do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's how I feel too. She's the man that's now in the position that has to make it better. Right? That has
And
to look
so-
at all the things they did for so long and now do better.
So I was with Sequence. Sequence was the first telehealth provider that I used. Sequence helped me. Okay. And I will always be, I'll be a fan. I was super upset. I was super upset with the merger in Weight Watchers and Sequence
Me
because
too.
of everything that I had gone through with Weight Watchers. And Weight Watchers worked for a while. I lost a lot of weight. And that SEMA talking was the pivotal moment for me in this whole Oprah show. It was there are 2 points in there that really grabbed me, and she was one of them because she didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that anybody moving forward never has to go through what anybody prior years had to go through again with Weight Watchers. I hope
Yeah.
and pray she meant everything that she said. And I felt like it was genuine. So that's where I am with it.
Yeah.
And I'm giving her major props because she knows the difference and she's saying the difference. She said that out loud. She did
Yeah,
not
she did.
just write it down and put it in some kind of article that nobody's going to read. She said it out loud on Oprah's stage. So
Yeah.
It was courageous. Yeah.
She took somebody else's problem and said something profound about it and is trying to sort of turn that page. Yeah.
Yes. So I commend her, and if I could have, I wanted to bum rush the stage and give her a hug and cry.
She did
and
look
tell her
uncomfortable. Yeah.
She did.
Oh, she
And I
was
felt bad.
she was very uncomfortable. And I'm telling you, that body language, and I'm not saying it was right, but that body language towards her was like,
Oprah's body language, I agree.
Yeah, I
mean,
did love
but-
Oprah's body language. That
right.
kind of just made it all sing.
But
You know.
but I think that now, mind you, I have never been with Sequence. I don't plan on going with them.
Yeah.
But I said, and this is what I said, this is what I told Kim and Kat.
Agreed.
When the merger happened, I said, did you see, have you all seen the clips? And I'm not trying to dog anybody. This is just my opinion. Have you all seen the clips where the CFO of the company gave an interview on MSNBC about 3 days after the merger? And I said, Kim, did you see that interview? I'm like, did anyone else pick up on that but me? I said, you notice how he said, oh yeah, he talked about all of the stuff with Weight Watchers, 1, 2, 3. And then the last point was semaglutide. I said, watch, they are going to take you through every point, every because now they're involved in wellness programs that you kind of have to jump through hoops for to try to get the medication. And it's not everyone, but they are on some plans. And I'm not villainizing them. I'm just speaking the facts. So because you have companies that don't want to cover these meds, and it's different companies on top of Sequence and Weight Watchers that are now saying, oh, well, let's try to treat it with diet. Now, mind you, a portion of that is true, but my gut feeling, and it's hardly ever wrong. I'm hardly ever wrong.
Right.
You got a good gut. I always tell you that. Yeah.
And I said, you watch. They're going to make you jump through hoops. And one of my girlfriends, my best girlfriend, who is one of my sorority sisters. We were on the same line, and she surprised me and said, guess what? Guess what? And when she told me she went through sequence and she told me what happened, I said, wait a minute, what? Look, what?
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah.
I almost jumped through that daggone phone. Do you hear me? I almost jumped through the phone.
I know you were really upset.
Said, look. And I don't get mad. It takes a lot for me to get perturbed. But, and this was just her experience. But I said, you should not have had to go through that.
Yeah.
And I said, that's bull S. And I called it. And she said, I didn't know. And you know how I feel about people taking advantage of people.
Like being taken advantage of,
Yeah, you don't like that.
Yeah. And I won't say what her experience was. And everyone has a different experience. But I promise you, they are going to make you go through hoops to get the medication. And all they talk about is semaglutide. They don't talk about tirzepatide. They only talk about a Novo Nordisk product. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, and I hear you. I have my own feelings on the way things changed with Sequence as soon as the acquisition, and it had really nothing to do with nutrition part of it. Honestly, it was where it got very, very money grabby. Like they would not, they would not do a 3-month prescription for me unless I paid them $300. Like it got really weird. My $99 all of a sudden started climbing up to here. But if you have not gone it, so Summer, the dietitian, I do follow her. I don't always agree with everything that she says, and that's the great thing about being friends is you don't always have to agree with people, right?
Totally.
She duetted a video today, and she's been talking quite significantly about the Oprah special, and she's not all on board with Oprah. She's not all, and she works for the company, and it's not just about her not liking Oprah. It's the whole process. But she duetted a video today about the change that, and like what Oprah said about the whole alcoholism and things of that nature, and how this medication does about the same thing as what it would do for alcoholism. However, they're constantly thinking about alcoholism. We're constantly thinking about that chocolate bar that we ate a piece of. We set it aside and we'll come back to it later, but we can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
They have been doing, I feel like she and this woman have been doing a really good positive spin on the things that maybe they don't like at all, but they're finding bits and pieces of what they do like. And that's what I'm trying to do with the Weight Watchers and the Sequence merger, even though I don't have anything to do with them anymore. I'm trying to find the positive for the people that are still there and they have no other option.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, so this is one I'm going to run my mouth about the most, y'all. So
look,
I'm waiting. I've been waiting for it this whole time.
Just get in a comfortable place. Just everybody just relax. All right.
Like your lunch.
She said, "Everybody just relax." Everybody just
get in a safe place. Look. All right. So I would tell you that because I have a tremendous amount of trauma around Weight Watchers and around when you would wait in speculating. This is more like a rant. But when you are young and legitimately my first diet was Weight Watchers. My mom I was obese. I had a binge eating disorder. I have a lot of grace for my mother. I think she was just trying to help. My mom's been dealing with 15, 20 pounds her whole life, and I was obviously way more than that. And it just continued to get worse. And I think she just wanted me to snap out of it. And it was all those things that JT talked about earlier about how kind of people handled you with those words when you were growing up in in certain time frames, but I remember when we would go do weigh-ins, if you gained, you know what I mean? Or if you were the same, the first question was, what did you do different? And it was automatically put as at your fault. And as a young girl,
you did something wrong. Yeah.
That messed me up. And the fact that they continued to progress by trying to recruit and get young girls on that platform to help them with their points and get them addicted and tied to diet culture to where they're not going to know how to eat without points. And they are then a Weight Watchers customer for life. Really, really makes me hate them.
You're right. They were still doing that a couple years ago. Like Weight
they
Watchers
were
for
still
kids, bring your parents.
Yes. Because then you have created someone at a young
Lifelong
age, an
customer.
impressionable age, that will always be a customer. Okay. Now, is that a brilliant marketing strategy? Yes. Is it freaking evil? Yes, it is. And it was really hard not to say the F word. It was really, but I want ads on this episode. So it was really difficult to say that.
Can you edit out my F word? Can you edit mine out? Hopefully.
We'll see. Well, let's just see how. Let's just see.
We'll
What
just
happens.
go
Sometimes
with it for now.
Sometimes if
Go
it's
with
just
it,
one,
just go with
it'll
it.
be fine. We'll see.
Sorry.
It was hard, but I held it back. So I will tell you that for me, in that moment, well, all of this happened with Sequence. I exploded. I don't know if you guys remember. I just freaking exploded.
I remember.
I
I remember your rant video.
That's when I just got started.
That one.
That's when I just got started on TikTok.
Yeah.
You just
I'll
going
never
crazy.
forget that.
Flipped it. And I think it's because in my mind, so I come from tech startups, guys. What they did was they thought they were getting like a tech startup. It's a healthcare company. It is a medical practice that cares for patients. It's not customers, it's patients. This is a very different thing than acquiring a company that has customers. You acquire someone that has patients that are being cared for, a marginalized community. Okay. So when it happened, all of a sudden, these two philosophies of eat less, move more, it's your fault, and actually something's not going on right with you, it's not your fault. Let's take care of the medical thing, and then we'll solve the problem with the food once the medical thing is going, right? Two different philosophies merging, and now diet culture, which, you know, all of us, at least doing this for a long time, trauma, all the things, right, is mixing with my healthcare. So that in general, I was mad for people. And y'all, I rarely get upset for someone else and rant about it. I actually, those people kind of drive me nuts, you know, but I was so upset, but it was because of my stuff, right? It was my trigger. It was my problem. It was my issues. And
that
so
little girl in you woke up and was
that
like,
little girl
don't
was
do
like,
that to somebody else.
No. I was like, and I'm not having it. And so that whole thing for me, when that happened, was really traumatic. And when one of the doctors came out and said, we are influencing Weight Watchers, they're not influencing us, I was like, you have sold your soul to the devil. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say. Go get PR training. You know, just stuff like that. Those things really, really upset me. But eventually I just kind of just let it go. And then I kept hearing more about how they were pushing Weight Watchers because we all knew they were going to do that. Of course they are. They merged. You know, it's one now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like they're running independently alongside, which sometimes happen in tech. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. So the whole thing really upset me. And I felt like over time, I just kind of got over it because there were other options. People were able to move on. I have some friends that are still at Sequence, even though they hate the whole Weight Watchers thing, because the care is still good, right? The care for many of them. And they have not been able to find, especially in certain states, find equal care. So they're kind of stuck there, but they're also like trying to like you said, focus on the positives. So there's that, right? So when she comes in and she apologizes, I was appreciative of that because one of the things after all of my rants, someone said in a comment was, what if they just apologize? I was like, they're never going to apologize.
They did.
You know what I mean? And that's exactly
Mm-hmm.
what she did. Now, it's easier to accept an apology for someone who hasn't been a part of the problem, right? She's been trying to fix the problem.
100%.
So it's easier from a PR marketing perspective. It's much easier to accept that and get in a place to receive it when it's someone that wasn't responsible, but is being accountable, right? That is a very powerful thing in any kind of messaging. It's a big deal. I didn't feel the things I hoped to feel when she said that. And it's because I know that game. But I did think she was sincere.
I did. I
I
felt
did think she was sincere, you know? And I did like how Oprah wasn't all like, ooh, and like Weight Watchers. And she was very much like points in the body language. She was like, I don't have adipose. And Oprah was like, you know, like I appreciated those things from Oprah because it wasn't like she was, I don't know, pandering, you know, like it wasn't,
she wasn't fluffing it because Seema is Weight Watchers and she's a member of the board. She wasn't fluffing it for her.
Yeah. And I think Oprah, you know, there may have been a certain amount of her that in this clip, in this episode, that she kind of came in maybe not knowing a lot and wanted to hear from the different doctors, right?
So
but part of me, go ahead, Brandi. What's up?
I just want to ask one question.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and maybe I'm being a jerk, but if Weight Watchers and Sequence can move together for the money in the obesity community and it's not accepted, why is Oprah's $35 accept it.
Yes.
I just want to know.
Oh,
that.
I don't
Can
accept
someone-
it. I don't
can
accept either
someone
one of them. They
please-
all kiss my
Because
butt.
it's the same to me. It's
Yeah.
the same to me.
Yeah. No.
Money's money.
Yeah.
Pocketbooks are pocketbooks.
Yeah,
It's the
it
same
is.
to me.
Yeah, it's
I'm
fair.
just- look.
Yeah. No, it's
Look.
you're not being a jerk. It's I
No,
invite
You're
people
not
here.
being a jerk. It's
Everybody
fair.
that's
It's
here,
fair.
I know, has a varying opinion, and that's why we're here.
Mhm.
That's why
Yeah.
we're here. So
Yeah.
I would just say my whole point, like with the with Oprah charging for this episode, or charging to be able to get people to become a part of it. It's the same kind of thing with Weight Watchers and getting your kids hooked early. Like you're getting them to pay for a year subscription to your service to be able to hear the one thing that they want to hear. And while I can totally understand that and appreciate that in any other circumstance, with a marginalized community that she has been a part of, that she's been trying to solve for 50 years, 40 years, whatever it's been so far, I think she could have done better. I think she could have done better. And that's all I'm saying. She could have made the one episode something that was free for everybody, or available on other streaming platforms, something. It's available. It was an option and she didn't take it. And I think that was a miss. And I'm always going to think that. But I also love Oprah. So we can stick with that. I still also love Oprah. Legitimately, one of the reasons that I am who I am is because of things I learned from Oprah, because I was obsessed with her show. I thought she was fabulous. One of the things she used to always say, and I remember this because it's literally part of who I am. That show questioned everything. And I, as a human, question everything. And I learned it there. So I very much have these feelings about her that it's impossible for me not to like her. She's a core memory, like she's a part of who I am. Like, I have this show and do this because of Oprah. Like, so it's impossible for me to ever think that she's bad. But she screwed up on that one, and she shouldn't have charged for it. It's a mistake. It was a miss. She could have done more for the community by not doing it. But I still love her.
Yeah, I want to come back. I don't want to. I appreciate your thoughts on that, Kim and Brandi. I want to come back to the Weight Watchers thing and not the overcharging thing for a second. So,
jeez, Brandi.
Well, I feel like I feel like there's so many things that we could talk about with the Weight Watchers stuff. So I also, Seema seemed like a nice person, and in her body language, in the studio and in the shooting, she did seem genuine. She seemed very uncomfortable. What I couldn't really get a read on was, is she uncomfortable because of her own pride, that she doesn't really want to be saying these things because she's a true believer in Weight Watchers? Or is she feeling bad for what Weight Watchers has done for people, and so she feels I couldn't quite get a read. Like, I try and read too many layers into people's body language.
You couldn't
but
read
she seemed genuinely not emotional, but it was hard for her to get those words out a little bit. And I also don't know if it was because she was sitting two people away from somebody who owns a big part of the company she's the CEO of.
Yeah.
Right.
Like she was uncomfortable.
Not that much. It's like 8%. It's not that
Very
much.
much
I think
for
it
her
sounds like
to
eight
choose her
percent.
words carefully.
So
Yeah.
she had to be very careful with her words. Yeah. And then, but the other thing I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Okay. So I'm going to use a term that just is meant to imagine a thing. But even though she's the CEO, she's the president of a huge organization that goes down to the neighborhood communities throughout the country. So she has a deep state issue. Even if she is genuine about it, the structure of Weight Watchers and the infrastructure down to the little Weight Watchers shop around the corner is built around this thing that has
what
been
she's
really
gonna
bad.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, and so her ability to change the mindset within the whole infrastructure of that company that's been built up under this paradigm that is now being questioned, she has her hands full. And that's part of it too, because she's also, the other part of why she's uncomfortable is because she knows that all those people down to the street corner are going to hear what she has to say. So she has to not be undermining the things they've been telling people for decades and make them all feel like they want to quit. And so it's just like such a tightrope. But some of the stuff that wasn't, and it maybe was in the episode that aired, or I missed it. Oh, Lori's back.
Lori's aliens back.
Is she was really the instigator, Oprah was, of getting into the GLP-1 and embracing
You
the
think?
obesity as a disease. No, she said it. So it must
She
not have
did.
been in the episode. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
didn't see the episode.
she insisted that they get this moving.
Beauty of
So
Good.
the impetus for Weight Watchers moving into this space at least came in some part from Oprah herself.
From Oprah.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I want to touch on what you said too about the CEO is like,
yeah,
so I said this last week in our live, put your foot in that person's shoes. Like, Lee, you're a professional. If you
Yeah.
walked into a courtroom and you picked up a case that a lawyer had just completely fudged, right? And you're
Right,
putting your
right.
foot in that lawyer's shoe, you would be in a very uncomfortable place too. So it's not
Right.
just all about body language and that she felt sort of like, out educationalized or whatever, because everybody else has this big medical education that she doesn't have, that she's mopping up this mess that somebody else has made. Like, we would all feel very uncomfortable too.
Sure.
No
Is
matter
it-
the case.
Is she a doctor? Is Seema? I thought Seema was a doctor.
Seema's in
No,
the
I'm
tech
educated.
space. She's a
Okay,
very smart.
okay.
She
That's-
does
She
tech
mentioned
stuff.
very
her
smart
she
woman.
mentioned
Her
her
mother
mother.
was a
She mentioned her
PhD,
mother was a
right.
PhD in food
Yeah.
science. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
And
so
her brother's
and then
a doctor.
Yes.
oh, I think that's right. Yeah, yeah. So and then yeah, that's a good point about
That is a
oh
good
shoot.
point, Lydia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
was just
guys.
trying to think. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And I take over cases from lawyers who screw things
Yeah.
up. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that might be that's a pretty good take, that it could have been that too. So there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I owe
And
that
then
point to my sister. My sister
I
gave
like
me
it.
that point. Yeah.
Nice.
Perspectives are important.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying that like she felt uncomfortable maybe because she was quote unquote like not as educated. No. That right there is an assumption. It was
Yeah.
just that you couldn't
How could
deny
you
that
not?
she
You're kind of
felt
the villain in the room. Do you know what I mean?
right.
Like,
Yeah.
but
It
I
was
think
awkward.
that-
there's
yeah.
and
I
it's
heard you
not that
guys
she
talking
is,
about
but
that.
she's
Yeah.
sitting in the seat of the
Uncomfortable.
villain of the room, and I think she handled herself pretty well, actually.
No, I
I
was
think
She
going to
knew
say
her
yeah.
place.
well, but
She
was
knew
just
her place.
uncomfortable. You could
She knew
tell.
her
No, it was weird with the group up there. There was two on one side, two on the other, and Oprah in the middle, and she was outsider. I mean, in every
Yeah.
way.
She was the odd man out. She was the
Mhm.
odd man out.
Yeah.
She was sitting in Whoville and she was the Grinch, right?
Totally.
She's surrounded by all the
And
Who's.
she wasn't even
and
the
she's
Grinch.
the Grinch. She's the Grinch that showed up. Well, I mean, okay, Weight Watchers was the Grinch
Yeah,
that showed up
Weight
to the
Watchers.
party, right?
Yeah.
And so
Right.
she was the figurehead of that.
The
and
food
being
party.
a figurehead,
The
and
figurehead.
having the foot
Yes.
in that Grinch shoe is really hard. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
yeah,
of
totally.
us would have been
So
super
Uncomfortable.
awkward and had really weird
Yes.
body language. Any of us
Totally.
would have been in the
Yeah.
same
And if we
spot.
don't, and if we didn't, then you should consider what kind of person we are. Like, if we look chill in that situation,
Amen.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I kind of like that she was a
I
little
think she
uncomfortable.
handled herself
She-
well.
I did. I did.
she
too.
did
I
handle
agree,
herself well.
JT.
And I like what she had to say too. A lot of the
Okay.
stuff she had to say was
Sure.
good, but then the things turned a little bit when, and I think this is at the end of the actual airing, the episode itself, was she started talking about the new plans. So, the apologizing and, hey, we got it wrong, and hey, obesity is a disease, and all this stuff. I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing coming from the Weight Watchers CEO.
Yeah.
But then at the end, she wrapped it up with, and we're going to have a new plan specifically for
saw.
those people. And that word
Yep.
plan, that word plan
It's a
immediately triggered
triggering
me.
word. It triggered
It's a
everybody.
diet.
Oh,
Been
There's
Weight
no
Watchers.
way this isn't
Didn't
ever
I
going to
tell
be a
you?
diet.
I was like, there we go. All right.
That wasn't even
This-
it.
Yeah. And
There's
that's
a
the thing we
plan. I
have to
bet
think
there's a
about
plan.
too. I think also, and I don't know if you guys had this experience, but the whole idea of, and I had y'all, when I was growing up, there was a book. There was no app. When you went
Right.
out with your girls
Yes.
or when your
You had
friends,
like
you
a
had
big
the book.
binder.
And
Wasn't it
the
like a big
othering
binder?
of that, when you're a child or even when you're getting older, that is awful because you're that fat girl in the
Can-
room with a friggin' book. And that was awful for me, you know?
Can I tell you, I ate so much
Checking my points.
Applebee's at lunch because Applebee's, do you remember they had the
Applebee's
points
was in the
system?
book.
Yes, they
Oh,
were
Yeah,
in
the
the book.
points were on the menu.
their
The points were
menu.
right there on the
Yes.
On
menu.
their menu.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
then I didn't have to sit with my stupid book and be like, what
Yeah.
can I have for lunch today? I couldn't even go to my
Exactly.
lunch with my girlfriends.
You have to plan ahead and
I
like,
had to plan
how
ahead.
can you
and so-
enjoy the moment of your
Between
life?
Applebee's and business.
So
And
many
so-
moments.
So when I did that, I mean, I was in advertising. I went out
Yeah.
to lunch with clients and stuff. So I had
Yeah.
to sit in my car and figure out what I was gonna eat before I went
Yeah.
in, and I'd be like, no, I don't need a menu. I know what I
Yeah.
need or what I want.
Yeah.
And that was embarrassing.
Yeah. It's hard,
I
especially
would
when you're
love
young. I
to.
think it's really difficult.
Do you
I
find,
would
Brandi,
love
that
to
you
know
still
what
do that?
Lori has to
Brandi,
say.
do you like go out with your girlfriends now and you'll pull up the menu online and look at it? Is that a habit that carried over?
No, because now I've like Weight Watchers, I don't even think about them anymore until these kind of conversations come up, because they are irrelevant in my life anymore, because I've learned through all this trauma.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I left Sequence. I'm not gonna lie. But like all of this trauma is behind me on that part. So now I go and I share food with people. And that makes me feel good. I eat what I want to have, but we share, because then we can camaraderie, that's how it works for me.
Yeah. I just don't like the idea.
What Lori has to say.
Yeah, Lori, what you think?
Yeah, I had a very hard time with the Sequence and Weight Watchers merger too, because Weight Watchers enabled my binge eating disorder.
Same season.
I could gain the
corn.
As long as it's 0 points, I can have all of it.
Corn is free. Fruit is free.
Ridiculous 0 point
Shrimp.
soup.
I can have all the shrimp,
all the beans.
Yeah.
That they told me, and I was told in multiple, like, not all my binge eating disorders on the low end of the spectrum of the disorder, and it came out largely with binge eating late at night. And not only did they enable the binge eating disorder, they enabled the nighttime binge eating, because I was told, just make this horrible tasting 0 point soup.
Oh my God, the 0 point soup.
Eat as much of the 0 point soup as you want all day. And then you can have whatever you want at night, because you haven't had points, because you just ate the 0 point soup.
Yeah. 0 points is
I gained the hell out of it. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was given strategies to enable my binge eating disorder.
Yes,
and
I agree. Me too.
I have a very hard time with that. I have a very hard time with that. The leaders were not given consistent training, and so basically whatever the leader's insecurity or disordered eating or anything like that, whatever she had, because it was always a woman, right? Totally. Whatever she had was passed on to the membership.
Spilled over to everybody else. Yeah,
I totally agree. I had the same thing. Yeah. And I think a lot of us had that experience, and multiple times over, because most of us are repeat offenders at Weight Watchers. We kept going back, because if we couldn't do the easiest diet there was, it must be our fault. We must be fat and lazy. It must be us. So what do? I can do it again. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to do it again. It's a vicious cycle, that place. Yeah. And that is my problem with it, and always has been. And here's my whole thing. Like, despite of what it is that she's doing here, like in my opinion, I think there's a certain generation, they're never going to get back to be on a Weight Watchers plan. For sure. Mine.
There's too much trauma there.
There's too much trauma there. Their best bet is to get the new obese people and the new overweight people and get them on GLP-1s, because the first question I get in a live is, I'm on one. What do I eat? Because they're diet culture. What do I eat? I don't know what to eat. You know what I mean? And I thought the same thing. Like, what do you eat? And I think that people don't realize, just take it easy, chill out, eat a little less, see how it goes. You know what I mean? What works for you? What do you like? Do you want a diet? Like, is that what you want in your life? I don't want that anymore. I want to have a normal relationship with food, but I think, I knew I was going to have a lot to say about this one. Sorry guys. Like, I know we have more clips, but I'm with you, Lori, like the BED thing. And here we are saying it, because I'm probably gonna have to change the ad settings on this. That's okay. But it's important. But I think the binge eating thing for me has always been a big deal. I even remember my doctor before being like, you can eat all the vegetables you want. No, that is not something you tell anybody ever.
Especially somebody with a binge eating problem.
Especially somebody.
I think they don't it wasn't diagnosed. It was after I was on a GLP-1 that I was diagnosed, that I was talking to my therapist that I was seeing for grief counseling after losing my mother. And she commented on that I was looking good. And I said, oh, I've lost some weight, and all this, and told her I was on the medication, and that I felt like it had totally changed my relationship with food. And she said, what do you mean? And as I talked about it, she said, has anyone ever told you that you have an eating disorder? I said, no, I don't think I do. And she said, you definitely have an eating
Definitely do.
disorder. And then
She was
went
like, "Oh,
through
no,
like
no, you do."
the checklists and everything
Yeah.
with me. And looking back, I very clearly see it, you know,
Clearly.
and I see where the, like I said, where it was enabled. And it wasn't just you can eat all the vegetables you want. It was you eat this so that you can binge.
Yes.
This is how you
Yes.
binge. This is how you
Yes.
enable the binging.
Weigh-in day
And
was
this
the
is
day to
why-
go off the
Well,
rails.
and like
This
the you can increase your points. Go work out really, 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 really hard,
Yes.
and then you come home and just
Burn
eat
your
whatever
food.
you want.
Yes, that one's
Yes. You have to
Ooh,
burn
this
your
is-
food.
when
Are you
that one gets me
serious?
jacked up.
Yes,
Yeah.
JT.
So like
Yes.
you had
It's
JT,
very,
you would
very
have
bad.
movement, you got
so
the more
based on
points
your
you got
body
to eat in a day.
composition and your age, you were given a set number of points for the day. And then
Yeah.
if you got really close to those points, like say dinner time was coming
Use
up,
your
right? And
activity
you only
points.
had like 5, 6, 7 points left, that's not really a meal. So then the
Yeah. And
point
if you're
system
out of
encourages
points,
you,
you're out of
go do
food.
go do high intensity workout so that you can get
Are
more
you
points
serious?
so you
Right,
can
because
have a
the
bigger meal.
weightlifting was not barely
Right.
a day.
No,
Cardio.
no,
cardio.
it was all like hard
nothing.
cardio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I do think the intent
Oh
was
my
to be like,
God.
hey, people need a healthy lifestyle, but they were
Yeah. I
basing
forgot about
the healthy
that.
lifestyle off of healthy people. Do you understand what I'm
I'm
saying?
sorry I brought that
That-
back for you,
that's-
Brady.
no,
That's the
like, I
trauma
mean,
point for me for Weight Watchers.
It is.
No,
It's a real
like
big
I'm
thing.
telling you, that's like people. I laugh at people that are like, "Well, you can't binge eat now that you've had weight loss surgery." I was like, "Are you kidding me? I'm
Sure
the
you
queen
can.
of learning how to binge eat.
Holla.
I just do it smaller portions more frequently. Listen,
All day long.
I could teach you the ways. Like I am the queen of
Yes.
it. Like listen, when I tell you I binge eat and I had a severe binge eating disorder, I'm telling you I maxed out 2 credit cards eating
Yes.
thousands
It's
of
bad.
dollars on
Mm.
food. So
Yeah.
I could eat. I sat down in a typical day of food without binge eating was 5,899 calories. That's without
Wow.
binge eating. That's without any donuts that came. Like when I tell you I have a
Yeah.
sickness, it's beyond. And that's why I'm like, I don't think it's
Yes.
obesity. I think I'm just
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. But like, keep in mind, you wouldn't be where you are now if it wasn't working. I'm just going to
Right.
say, I love you.
And
but I'm saying,
when I tell you, I do some
you were just sick and you needed
stuff for this-
medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's all connected. I
So-
know. Well, another live for another day. There's a lot of stuff going on with that, and I just think that the future for their company is not the people that have already been on the diet. It's just not. It's not.
Right.
I think they'll have a really hard time getting that back. I will never do it again.
It's over
No.
for these hoes. We are not.
It's
Yeah.
over. We done.
That's right. That's
Randy always keeps it
right.
real. We done.
Wait, we were hoping we were hoping that they could
still have Oprah
monetize
forever.
this episode, but
It's over now.
now it's over.
Must have been.
Yeah, I mean,
It was worth it.
I think if anything, it's sort of like the conversation about, if Oprah's has this one episode, it's really not about the one episode. It's about the conversation that sparks.
Yes.
Okay, but now this is maybe is true about the Weight Watchers. They're sort of saying, okay, we're going to go into this GLP-1 stuff because this medicine is clearly working for people, and maybe
Yeah.
they aren't sincere about it. But because Weight Watchers normalizes it and says, hey, if Weight Watchers thinks this is okay,
Yeah.
now it spreads out that, okay, I'm not going to do Weight Watchers, but I know that this medicine is okay because Weight Watchers also seems to think it's okay. So if there's some benefit like that, I guess it's a good thing too. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I do. I mean, it makes sense though. Of course, they're going to have a GLP-1 diet plan. Weight Watchers. They're a diet.
Right.
They are a diet. You know.
Well,
And
and
I think that's.
I-
But some people like having a diet.
I would be a liar to tell you that I didn't think at some point that I still feel like I needed to make changes because
Sure.
my whole thought process was nothing but fast food. Do I still
Sure.
eat fast food? Yes. Will I ever take it out of my life? No, because if I
Right.
do take it out of my life, that's when I go off the freaking rails.
Of course, you're restricting too much. Yes.
Exactly. And so I have to be realistic with my food. Have
Yes.
to. And so
Me too.
today, before this podcast, I had McDonald's.
Me too. McDonald's.
Me too.
I had half. I had
McDonald's.
half of a small fry and a burger with only the bun, the only one piece of bun. That's what I had.
No, I did not.
I was a busy girl.
I had
like,
a double
cars were breaking.
cheeseburger.
Like tis
Me too.
life, and
Me too.
you
I
should
had
be
a
able
double
to.
cheeseburger
you
with
know?
no pickle.
Me too.
Oh no! Did you just say you took the pickles off?
I took the pickle
Yeah, you know.
Oh, I
Oh
remember
no!
Lee did a
Oh
Lee did
no!
a TikTok
Oh
on
no!
pickles.
Oh no!
I
Oh
remember
no!
Lee's TikTok on
I
trying
can't
all the
believe
was a good-
this.
I
I can't
remember
believe
I thought
you
about
put
you,
pickles
Lee.
on.
I thought about you when I said no
Lee
pickle.
trying all the pickles.
Oh,
Sonic.
actually,
I
I got some pickle drama coming. There's some pickles
good.
that are suing each other. There's a pickle
Oh.
war.
Oh,
Yeah,
No.
coming
I
up.
like
want
pickles.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay.
I like
What'd you
pickles.
say, Brandi?
I just don't like super hot pickles, and so sometimes I can't
No.
even eat a fried pickle. So like,
Yeah.
I just exit those because I want to
Yeah,
taste
same.
that cheeseburger.
No pickles.
Me too.
Exactly.
Me too.
All right, we have more clips.
All
Let's go ahead
I
and move
never
through. I
met a
think
pickle
I
I
think we're
didn't like.
through. I think
pickle
we're through
talk?
the majority of. Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together. The Plus Sides Podcast, because every story deserves to be heard, every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.